Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again with another question and answer. So today we're going to talk about a little bit about a SD-WAN, why you should replace DMVPN or Flex VPN or whatever you're using as a WAN transport right now, why you should probably move over to SD-WAN. I'm going to show you some design use cases, and then I'm going to just show you this lab here that I cooked up. You guys probably seen this, but I kind of shrunk it down just a tad bit. And we're going to just explain a couple of things about SD-WAN here. Got the question about it, so I'm going to answer. So here's the whole thing with SD-WAN. SD-WAN is a way to automate your WAN infrastructure. So back in the day, it used to be IPsec VPNs, just static ones. Then, DMVPN came out. Then, now I'm dating myself with this one. IWAN came out, which was intelligent WAN, which was the precursor to SD-WAN. If anybody has tried to implement intelligent WAN, you know how much of a pain that was. They have Flex VPN, which is just phase 4 DMVPN that does IKEV2 instead of IKEV1. Phase 1, 2, and 3, usually for DMVPN, is going to use IKEV1. And then you have Flex VPN that's going to use IKEV2. Then you, like I said, IWAN, which was a mess. And then we have SD-WAN. And the benefits of SD-WAN is you're kind of decoupling some things here. So you're decoupling management, you're decoupling the control plane, you're decoupling the orchestration, which is basically getting things into the fabric or authenticating to the fabric, and you're decoupling data plane. So everything is now in its own separate plane. Management is going to be done by the vManager. Your control plane is going to be done by the controllers, aka the vSmarts. The authentication to the fabric is going to be done by vBond, and the data plane is going to be done by the C edges or V edges. I don't know that many people using V edges nowadays, so they're going to be C edges. The V edges are the old VIP teleboxes. So if you look over here, down here at the bottom, and remember there's a Palo Alto in here, so Cisco don't kill me for using Palo Alto for this. Um, vManager, that's my management plane. Here's my vSmarts, our controllers, and this is my vBond. Now, if you looked at my last video, remember the vBond is the one that needs the external IP address, and then you have the internal IP addresses, so that when the C edges actually authenticate to the fabric, they get the public IP address and not the internal IP address. I did a video about this, so check out my videos and you'll get knowledge about that. Now, this is a singular um, SD-WAN fabric. This is not multi-tenancy. I did do a video on multi-tenancy SD-WAN, but most people are not going to do multi-tenancy. That's going to be people like me and my company that's going to go and, have you as a customer in our SD-WAN architecture, and you'll just be a tenant within our architecture. So basically, we remove all the logistical intensity of trying to put this in your environment, and you just become a customer, and then we just go from there. So over here to the right, we have a couple C edges. Well, actually, let me go back over here. So we have a C edge in data center 1. So this is data center 1 on the left-hand side. Then we have some retail branches here with their own C edges. Oh no, that's a Fortinet. No, Cisco don't kill me for doing Fortinet as well. But I do know those firewalls, as long as Palo Altos, as long as checkpoints, Juniper XRX, WatchGuards, Sonic Walls. But I'm not going to show all that stuff over there. But we have these retail branches. Oh, just in case I'm going to do a video on clustering. Here goes some clusters over here. So watch out for that. This is a total side quest, by the way. We got some ASA clustering over here, so you kind of get to see what clustering looks like. And then we have the VPN load balancing over here. Traditional ASA VPN load balancing, active standby over here. We have what's this? I believe this is a FTD that's going to be running in transparent mode. So we're going to have a lot of fun labs pretty soon. But let's get back to the original thing, which is SD-WAN. So we have our 3 retail branches. Then we have what's up here, brand new, data center 2 with its own respective C edges that are doing VRRP. So I just did a video about VRRP as well, or SD-WAN T-lock extensions. So this is not going to do T-lock extension. Each of these are have their own egress connection, and then they're going to do VRRP. We have a firewall here, so this is going to be an inline firewall, and this is not going to be unscreened. There's two different deployment methods. You can put it in front of the SD-WAN routers and catch all the traffic before it gets to the SD-WAN routers, or you can do it after. I decided to do it after. This is in a CVD that from a design, Cisco validated design. Now, normally I wouldn't have a single FTD here. This would be in a pair. This is in routed mode. This is not in transparent mode. And I'm doing a management data interface. So this interface G0 is my management data interface, allows me to get to the box without using the management interface. Only downside to that is it's in the data plane. So if anything happens to the data plane, your management goes with the data plane. So AKA fate sharing. Then behind that, we have another switch. And in data center 2, now I haven't turned on a couple of these devices. We have our secondary ICE node. So let's say something happened to this data center over here, blew up, some nonsense like that, right? We have ICE and we have our primary FTD or FMC. Now I haven't done the HA yet, but I'm going to do the HA with this FMC over here. And I'll probably add this ICE node into it as well, into the cluster, so I don't have a single ICE node anymore. But now let's say that data center 1 crapped the bed on us for some odd reason. We lost connectivity, or power went out. Well, data center 2 would house probably another Active Directory, DNS, ICE node, another FMC in there. So this would be my secondary FMC. So now the management of my whole firewall infrastructure wouldn't wet the bed, because if you don't know, data plane will still work, but you can't do any kind of administrative work if you don't have an FMC. So you pretty much got to wait till you rebuild the FMC all over again if something was to happen to it. And based on your maximum tolerable downtime, MDT, you may miss that because you might go over your maximum tolerable downtime. If you want to know those acronyms, MDT, RTO, RPO, you need to know those type of things when you're coming up with your business continuity or disaster recovery plan. So with that being said, this is why you would have this SD-WAN fabric, right? Now you could technically do this with DMVPN. Only problem is it's a per box configuration. The control plane, the management plane, and the data plane are per box. So if this was VPN or Flex VPN, this would have its own routing table. This would have its own routing table and configurations. Routing table and configuration, routing table configuration. These two would have its separate routing configurations. So, and then data center 1 would have its own routing configurations. This is a #1 disaster when it comes to configuration management, because depending on who configures this thing, you could run into a problem later on where, oh, I didn't know he configured it like that, or she configured it like that. I didn't know this person. Like if 10 people go, this is how you run into problems where people don't want to touch the ticking time bomb because they don't know who configured it. And it's working now. And if you know businesses are risk averse, as they should, so nobody really wants to touch anything if it's working, but you could be sitting on a ticking time bomb, and that when that time bomb goes off, you could have a major outage. But anyway, the whole purpose of this, though, is to manage everything from a single pane of glass. I know a lot of people hate that term because it's just overused, but it's true. It's a single pane of glass. So how this looks is I'm going to go to SD-WAN here. So we're in SD-WAN, and we have our WAN edges. Now, this was a brief configuration. I can go through a lot of stuff with SD-WAN, and I did a video on this, but this was just the integration with Umbrella, which every C edge does have a tunnel to Umbrella. So my branch sites are getting their internet through Umbrella. So we're putting SD-WAN on top of SASE Lite, which is Umbrella. If I wanted the full SASE offering from Cisco, I would do something like Cisco Secure Access. And then I would have Cisco Secure Access for web, for branches, but then I would also have some ISRs connected into Cisco Secure Access so that, I could do RAVPN as a service and stuff like that and still get to my resources, ZTNA and all that good stuff. So from a configuration standpoint, we really need to worry about the templates. Now you could do a whole bunch of stuff. Let's say I wanted to deploy SD-WAN devices in the cloud. I would do on-ramp. So what on-ramp does is basically, now when this first came out, it would spin up CSRs or CSRVs. It may spin up C8000 Vs now. I have to check that. But I would do cloud on-ramp. It would spin up these virtual components in the cloud, and then it would actually allow you to attach it to your SD-WAN fabric, and then it'll just be like, oh, like everything else, right? It'll be like it'll be virtual, but it will mimic the physical deployment, right? Because you just create your templates and apply it there. And then once it authenticates to the fabric, it knows how to get to everywhere. Everybody knows how to get directly to the cloud. You could do, PBR or application-based routing or SaaS breakout, all kind of stuff going to the cloud, right? Trying to do that with DMVPN or FlexVPN is pretty difficult, right? And it's a manual process compared to, I can automate this through SD-WAN. Policies, obviously, these are your policies that you can create, application policies, a whole bunch of stuff. But I'll get into those videos. If you want me to make some more, SD-WAN type videos, just put it in the comment and I'll start making some videos about SD-WAN. The other thing about SD-WAN, you can do IPS within SD-WAN devices. They run it as a container VM, right? You can actually put a IPS module in it, but it just spins up as a containerized VM. Completely side quest again. Service insertion, same thing. So what we're going to mainly talk about is the templates. So I have 3 templates here, or 3 device templates. I have the controller templates, which is the vSmart templates. I have the single device template, which is for the single devices in my fabric, the one retail 1, 2, and 3 that were single C edges. And then I have my VRRP, which is the 2 that were in data center 2. And as you can see, we got 4 here. So this includes data center 1, retail 1, 2, and 3. And then this one is data center 2, which has just the 2 C edges there. All of this is created from these feature templates. So I got a bunch of feature templates here. And as you can see, I have my, SIG template. So I can, I had the API keys and all that stuff. Once I put that in there and then I apply it to the device template, it auto creates the tunnel. Secure Access does not do this yet. So if we do it with Secure Access, you have to manually create the IPsec tunnel, right? You have to create the IPsec tunnel, and then you have to put it in the VPN, whatever the service VPN is, and create a static route there. I wouldn't do BGP because OMP routes are 200 and BGP or eBGP routes are 20 by default. So you can get some routing problems with everything trying to go through secure access. If you send a default route down, everything trying to go through secure access instead of just using the SD-WAN fabric. And you don't want to tunnel everything through SASE all the time. You don't necessarily need to do that if you got SD-WAN. So what I would do is create the IPsec tunnel up to Cisco Secure Access and only do a static route for like internet traffic. And then everything else should be able to move and navigate through SD-WAN. But here's a whole bunch of templates. Service templates are VPN1, as you can see. Then I got my interface templates, my banner templates, all that good stuff. So what does all this technically mean, or why would you do that? Again, this is automating a fabric and allowing you to control everything through one single pane of glass, right? If you did this manually, you would run into a bunch of problems, right? Depending on who configured what, right? Because people take shortcuts. I mean, let's be honest here. Some people like configuring things their way. Some people like configuring other ways, and since you don't have one congruent policy, everything is different based on who configured it. This is why you would use SD-WAN. So this is just a brief look at the tunnels and stuff like that. These are the tunnels that are going to be, site to site tunnels, basically. So our retail 1 knows how to get to retail 2. Everybody knows how to get to the data center. Everybody knows how to get to data center 2, right? Because these are automatically created. And then these SIG tunnels should be the tunnels that's going to Umbrella. And as you can see, we're going to the New York data center, and then we're going to Virginia, I believe. So I can tell all this from one single pane of glass. And I'm going to keep saying that, one single pane of glass. If you were to try to do this on just a manual process, you be pulling your hair out, especially as you add more edges to your fabrics. Like this doesn't look too bad because I have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 devices. Let's say you had 100 devices. trying to manage this with hundreds or thousands of devices, depending on how big your company is a pain in the neck. And from a operation standpoint, I mean, you'll need a team just to manage this by itself. And if you don't have a big team, and that person's going to get burned out that you have on there, those 2, 3, 4, 5 people will get burned out trying to do all of this plus all the other stuff that you need them to do. So this is consolidating a lot of the operation headache that comes with traditional managing on box DMVPN stuff. All right. Now, cool stuff about this is now that everything is connected, now remember, I have ICE over here, right? So now that everything's connected, I could technically do 802.1x in my branch sites. You already know I have 802.1x running here in the headquarters and stuff like that. But let's say I wanted to, I may not have the right one. Let me see if I open this link and see what happens. Yeah, I figured that was it. Let me see what I got. Let me log out. Yep, native console. And for some reason, native console just does not want to work with me today. So we'll log back in here whenever that wants to work. So we're back over here. Let's just log into one of these machines. Now, this is retail one. We're going to log in here. Now, when this logs in, we're also going to check the session here. And again, this is the beauty of all this. Is once everything is set up, you pretty much can have 802.x running. And now you can, and I'm doing certificate-based authentication. So that's, that's what I'm going to suggest all the time. Do certificate-based authentication if you can. Now, you're going to need a CA to do that, internal CA to do that. The last ditch effort would be username and password, which is, MS Chat v2. I would be careful using MS Chat v2 because username and passwords can be stolen. Certificates cannot, if you set it up where it does not export the key. So while this is taking its grand old time, let's log in here. Let me see if I got some access sessions, because knowing this will take forever. That's what happened when you peg your, okay, so there we go. So we're logging in here and we have a session here that has been authorized. You can see the username is retail1-pc.com. Now, this is the certificate because you saw me log in with retail.1 and not retail1. It looks like Windows 10 did an update, and that's why it's doing this little prettiness here. Let's see now. Just to show you guys that I am going through Umbrella for internet. I wish they would take this search bar out of here because it's more of a pain hiding that search bar than to actually not have the search bar there. That's probably going to make me go through the welcome to Microsoft Edge nonsense. Here we go. Microsoft, y'all got to stop this, man. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Every time like you want somebody to sign in so bad, like nobody wants to do this. I just want to start browsing. All right, so we got welcome to Microsoft Edge, which is taking forever. Again, my VAs is in data center 1. So all of this is going through Umbrella, but I'm also checking my VAs whenever all this wants to stop popping up. All right, let's just do this. Let's go to Google. We're going to go to Google on Microsoft Edge. The irony. And then let's click the key here. And then see the connection is secure. Connection is secure. Come on, of course, Google, you're going to recommend using Chrome. And then let's just look at the certificate here. That should say Cisco. There we go. Common name Cisco umbrella secondary sub CA. So that means I am definitely 100% going through umbrella. And then we're going to do an IP chicken. And this is going to show that New York data center address, which validate that we're going through New York. Come on. Just going through this just makes me realize I definitely need to get a bigger server. I need to allocate more resources to these Windows machines. Hopefully it doesn't crash on me in the middle of this. All right, so that's the New York site right there. That's the New York NAT address. Now, what we should hopefully see here is, let me slide ICE over. This is ICE. You see all the stuff that I got going on here from an ICE perspective. So we look at the live logs. Let's see if we see anything recently. There we go. All right, so this CTS request is some TrustX stuff that I got going on. But as you can see, here's retail one that's not in HQ, and this happened over the SD-WAN fabric. So we log into here, you can see we got our domain computers there. Let's see what else we got. Obviously, we're doing ETLS, so we're good there. We got this authorization profile, that's fine. Now, I don't think I assigned, as you can see, this is coming from that switch that we got over in retail one. I don't think I applied an SGT to this because I don't know if I even created those SGTs yet. Here's my UPN. And again, I did this specifically because if you're going to use the computer certificate as well, like I showed you the last one, you have to have the certificate have a certain key information in there or it won't pass it. And then certificate authentication will not work on a VPN. Let's see here. Did I sign anything here? Nothing there. Radius username, that means I got that coming in. And let's see, nothing. All right, so I didn't sign an SGT yet. So that validates that, you know, radius over SD-WAN works. That's another thing. Like once you set this all up, again, you can do this with DMVPN as well, but it's a lot easier doing it with SD-WAN. Not like, let's be honest here. SD-WAN, that's the SD-WAN that's available now, there's really absolutely no need to do manual on-box DMVPN or Flex VPN anymore. There's absolutely no need to do it. Now, there's some upfront work that you got to do to get all your templates and all that good stuff ready to go. But once you got the templates there, that's it. You just get everything into the fabric, meaning you authenticate to the VBON or the validator is what they call it now. And once that device is in there, then you just apply it to the template. Now, the key to that is you should be designing your network that's cookie cutter for the most part, right? So all your branch sites should be the same. Don't be a genius and decide, oh, I'm just going to change your architecture randomly for just with no business justification whatsoever because you want to do it. Don't attempt to grow a brain with some of this stuff with network design. That's really the key to network design, not attempting to grow a brain for no reason, right? And decide, oh, I'm just going to do differently because I just want to do it differently. No, if you make it if you make it cookie cutter and it's the same way every time, that means that from a troubleshooting standpoint, it is going to be very easy to pinpoint where the problem is if your network architecture is pretty much the same for all your branch sites. You get stupid and you get yourself in trouble when you decide to change it with no business justification, and then the person that changed it is no longer at the company and you have no knowledge about what they did. Now you got to play whack-a-mole and try to figure out what was going on and why this was built. And so it's a bunch of problems. So please try not to do that if you can. And the last thing I'm going to show you is the firewall side of this. So we've all seen this before. I have not done HA yet, but I will do HA later. But we all seen this beautiful board before. From a zero trust standpoint, nothing's going to be there. I showed you that zero trust lab before. And if I do the last 30 days, we should see something from the last video I did about zero trust. If not, I have to go to 90 days, but this should pick up and show me some data. Yeah, see, this was the part I did not show you in the ZTNA lab. Is once you actually do the ZTNA lab, you will see from a zero trust standpoint, you'll see, okay, what application did I log into and what user tried to log into the application. Like you can quickly pinpoint, oh, you tried to log into it and you can't tell me you didn't try to log into it because here's the username. Unless you got compromised, but if you now, do some compensating controls and put MFA in there and force a duo push or whatever push you want to do, now it's like, okay, now you really can't say that wasn't you because you're the only person with that phone. So now what you're going to tell me, that somebody stole the phone, which is, it happens. But if somebody stole your phone, you should have reported it so we can remote wipe it. And then we lock down the account. Like it's a whole bunch of stuff that you need to do, right? That you need to train your employees on to make sure from a security standpoint, you guys are safe. I'm not, no, I did show you Eve and G. So, I showed you, I said Eve and G, which is what I'm using to simulate some of this stuff, but I did show you Eve, encrypted visibility engine. I don't know if I showed you this part, but this is what you would see. This is what Eve saw from the Eve saw these protocols. Remember, Eve is just MBAR for the FTD. If anybody knows what MBAR is, that's all it is. And then if I wanted to create policies based on some of these things that Eve saw, then I could create policies on this, all right? Totally side question again on the video. But from a device standpoint, now I'll get into this template management, which is a real cool feature in the FTD, where you can create templates and then apply templates to devices that just get into, that you just connect to, and you just apply a template and everything just works. But we'll get into that later. Device management. So we scroll down, you see device DC2 firewall, right? And there you can see 172.168.11.1 is the IP address that is assigned to this interface right there. So it's assigned to this G00 interface. And as you can see, I'm going through the SD-WAN fabric to get to it, all right? So this is another, hey, it's in line, but now I can manage all my FTDs as long as I have some type of layer 3 connectivity to it. And the layer 3 connectivity that I have is going through the SD-WAN fabric. So I hope I really drove home why you should go to SD-WAN versus on box deploying manually one by one headache migraine configurations, right? Especially again, when we talk about going from 3 boxes to 100 boxes, from 100 boxes to 500 boxes. And yes, I've seen 500 box DMVPN deployments, which is wild, but I've seen it and it's always a problem at the hub, especially if you try to run BGP over the top, because now you have to do a whole bunch of tweaking to make sure you don't have CPU resource utilization spiking and all that good stuff. So hopefully this video has answered the question of should we move to SD-WAN versus DMVPN or FlexVPN. I hope this video was informative. Don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe. Really appreciate the questions that are coming through. You guys are keeping my brain busy, so keep sending them in. If you want to talk about getting this in your environment, there's going to be links in the description below. Use them if you want to have a conversation about how we can deploy this. Other than that, I really hope you like this lab that I put together for you. Thank you and have a nice day.